Peace. This is King Noble Black Supremacy. And with this particular video, I want to deal with the question of homelessness. A lot of videos that I'm coming out with now will be dealing with certain questions. Because I think if I can reveal the question to you, I can actually get you to think and kind of get you out of the matrix. It'll make you start to really question what is placed in front of you that you're just supposed to accept as reality. You're supposed to accept the definitions that they give you to the point where their definitions have become your reality and you don't think for yourself anymore. So you can't get outside of their boxes and the mental prison that they put you in. So I'll deal with the question. I just want to make you even just look at the question. Because the questions are there, even though they try to present things to you as evidence, they can't hide the question. The question is going to be your key out. It's going to be how you get out to free your mind. So let's deal with the question of homelessness. Now, they never really know why people really are homeless. They'll tell you that there are many reasons people are homeless. Some having mental illness, some being on drugs, some finding themselves in negative situations, financial situations, trying to escape domestic violence. They'll give you many different reasons to why people are homeless. And then there's people we know who just want to be out there. They want to live on the streets. It's their version of being off the grid. It's really freedom for them. But even those people will be considered to be homeless. And they'll use the other reasons for people being homeless to manage even the people who are out on the streets that just want to be out there, that just want to live on the streets or live off the streets. They have turned homelessness in some cases into a crime. Into some, it's a social service dilemma. They've turned it into a crisis in some places. And this is by design. Because no matter why people are homeless, they tend to deal with them all in the same way. Because they're not quick to distinguish why each person is homeless before they approach them or before they deal with them. It has become a negative stigma of being homeless. Even for the people who want to be out there, still looked at as negative. Because a lot of people that are homeless are there because they are in a negative situation. Or at least they perceive themselves to be in a negative situation, and I'll get into that. Because if you don't perceive yourself to be in a negative situation, there's got to be something wrong with you. So those are the ones that are, I guess, out there homeless because they have a mental illness. But follow my logic with this. There really is no such thing as a homeless person in the United States of America. There really isn't, and that's going to blow a lot of people's minds. No one in America is homeless. Are there people in America that are uncomfortable? Are there people in America that do not have a physical dwelling or a structure that is considered to be their domain? Are there people in America that don't have an address? Yes. Are there people in America that want an address or a physical dwelling or a structure that don't have them? Yes. But there is no one homeless in America. Homelessness is a status, not a condition. A status, a label that they put on people. The government, social services institutions. But America is home of the free, land of the free, and it's home of the brave. So if it's home of the brave, then everyone out there who's braving through the cold and braving through this terrain, it's their home. If you're naturalized in this country, or you have birthright citizenship, you are not homeless. America is your home. That's a fact. So there's not one homeless person out there. Legally. This is our land. This is our home. They have invented this idea and this false construct of homelessness to strip you of your birthright citizenship and as your superior claim and right to this land. You have a superior claim to this land in this country over the corporations and the artificial entities. This land is your home. And if this is land of your home because you are a citizen, naturalized or birthright, then we have to assume, any reasonable person would assume that if this is your home, there must be some place for you to be. And if there's some place for you to be, then you must be able to be there without being extorted. You shouldn't have to pay rent. You shouldn't have to pay to be there. You shouldn't have to be a customer. This is your home. But they've taken your citizenship and the privileges and rights of your citizenship by calling you homeless. Because they're saying you have no place to be at. You don't have a right to be where you are. Homeless is another word for trespassing. They playing games with you. You do not have the right to be where you're at. So if you let them label you homeless, then you're agreeing that you don't belong where you're at, wherever that is, whatever street corner, viaduct, open land, wherever you're at. You're saying, you're agreeing, I don't have a right to be here, I'm homeless. That's like somebody coming to your house, and then while you're in your house, they telling you that you're homeless, and you agree while you're in your own home that you're homeless, and then they tell you to leave. Because if you didn't feel like it was your home, then you would feel like that you had a right to leave and that you could be moved around and herded around however they felt like it. That you could be marched into their concentration camps called homeless shelters. And you can be placed and moved around however they feel like you are. As though it's their home, as though America is their home and not yours. They have a right to move you around, tell you when to be, where to be, and how to be. They have taken away your birthrights. Now, corporations and corporate policy has taken over all the land. So they make rules and regulations with no respect of your constitutional rights or your birthright to this planet. Not only do they purchase and own land, they make up rules and regulations as to what you can do and what you have to do on that land and how you can be on that land. And they can even put you off that land. And they can even lock you up for trespassing. Because now they make up the rules in your home. It's your home, but somebody's making up the rules everywhere you go. these corporations. You have no right to be anywhere on any land. You have nowhere to exist unless you're paying one of these corporations. Whether you're purchasing an item, consuming an item, visiting their store, their mall, unless you're doing commerce, unless you're paying rent or mortgage, you have no right to be anywhere in this country, no matter what. So then what does citizenship mean? If the only place you have a right to be somewhere is where you are patronizing the institutions, or where those people who manage the corporations give you permission to be at. So you're not even treated as a citizen. You're treated as an animal that's being herded along here or there. So while you got a lot of people that so-called homeless that just want to be free, they want to live on the streets, they just want to be wherever they want to be because America is their home, they invent this social service narrative to make everyone who's homeless, destitute, mentally ill, a drug addict, or in a negative situation, as though there's nobody in this country that just want to be free and not be told what to do and herded around and moved around and want to sit where they want to sit at, meditate where they want to meditate at, be wherever they want to be at. They're illegalizing beingness. They're making being somewhere illegal. If you're not patronizing, if you're not consuming, or if you're not under some social service concentration camp, you don't have a right to be anywhere. They're illegalizing being. They're legalizing being a human being. Because you can't be a human being if you're human and there's nowhere to be, unless you pay them. So now when you come out the womb, you literally are a debtor. Because wherever you plan on being at for the rest of your life in this country, where you're supposed to be a birthright citizen and have rights, and it's supposed to be your homeland, your domicile, this country, you have nowhere to be. You have nowhere to be. The corporations have taken over all land. And what once used to belong to the people belongs to corporations. And where it doesn't belong to for-profit corporations, now it's being managed by missionaries and armies of non-for-profit corporations who still telling you you don't have a right to be anywhere, or telling you how you can be somewhere, by putting a negative stigma on being homeless. They are basically culture policing by saying if you don't look like this, if you don't dress like this, and if you're not here under the auspices of patronizing, then it's something wrong with you. Come to this homeless shelter. Let's get you some help. Help me from what? Help a person from what? From being where they want to be? So they're culture policing and forcing you to comply and conform within their cultural paradigm under the auspices of helping. And if you say, well, I really don't need no help, I'm happy the way I am, I'm in a good situation, they're going to say you have a mental illness because you don't agree with their perception of reality, and you're not going to conform to how they feel like they have to manage reality. You don't have to follow suit and go along with whatever their paradigm or their construct is. So now you got places like Los Angeles where homeless people were really just free people that just live wherever they want to be at. The homeless people movement in Los Angeles was a free people's movement where they just had tented everywhere, set up tents all through Sunset, Hollywood, whatever, Skid Row, whatever. They just tenting all over LA. So now they're saying they're going to create buildings of shelters, and they're going to make it mandatory for these people to get off the streets and live in these particular shelters. So they're not changing your status as a homeless person. They're now going to quarantine homeless people and get them out the way, get out of sight, out of mind, so that the corporations will not be disturbed by people who have a right to exist on this soil. They have a right to exist on this soil called America. But you saying you're homeless, you need help, let me put you in this building. You have no excuse for sleeping on the street because you can go sleep in a shelter for free. Getting people, snatching people up off the streets. Telling them how they live, how they sleep, how they need to be. And that the corporations are now dictating what is right and what is permissible and what is acceptable. And then they put in people's minds that are part of these corporations, meaning working 9-to-5 jobs and that are acclimated within the system, they also psychologically make them accept the stigma. So that they treat homeless people like undesirable, untouchable, or second-class citizens. When the homeless person is actually experiencing more of the freedoms and liberties that this country provides than the person working 9-to-5. Because the person 9-to-5 is literally under the corporation. They literally are a debtor. Their existence is inside of one corporate to another, one corporation to another. With their homes, it's the banks, it's their landlords. Their existence is from one corporation to another. Their job is a corporation. They go shopping in the corporation, and they exist in nothing but a corporate status or within inside of the corporate fiction. The homeless person is not under any corporations. They don't have no job. They're not under no house, no landlord, no mortgage, no bank. And many of them not even under the corporations that are social services that consider themselves non-for-profit, but are non-for-profit for profit. But that's another video. So they're experiencing this land in the way it is supposed to be experienced. Free. Their existence on this land is not justified by them being a part of corporations, contracting with these corporations, doing business with these corporations, or being in debt to any of these corporations. So they're redefining and changing your right to live on the land and giving all the rights that you once had to the corporations. So in a minute, there will be nowhere for you to stand if you are not a part of one of these corporations. You won't have a right to stand outside. You won't have a right to breathe oxygen. You won't even have a right to sit at the park, to sit in a commercial area, to sit anywhere where people gather at. You will not even have a right to be there if you're not under a corporation. And they're using social services as a justification, because now if I can make being homeless something negative, then I can move all the people who are freely on the streets, who are freely existing. I can now force them into these social service corporations under the auspices of helping them and making the community safe and getting these negative people off the streets and this, that, and the other. So your freedom, while you look at the person out there being homeless and them being put in place as something positive, you don't realize that your freedom to be in America is being taken away from you. Some people are homeless because they are free. They're not accountable to nobody. They don't owe nobody nothing. They don't have to go to work. They don't have no schedule. They're not under no corporations. They just want to sit and be at peace and be at harmony with themselves and mind their own business and just be okay and get a sandwich every now and then and be fine. So that homelessness is to some degree freedom. But these homeless people can't tell you that because they know you're not going to support them in being free. So they got to tell you, I need a sandwich, I don't have this, I need this. They got to have a negative story to tell you. They got to have a negative narrative to give you, because you're not going to accept somebody just wanting to be free. That doesn't make sense to you. And you're not going to support them unless they have something negative to say about their life and what they've been through and their situation, when really many of them just simply want to be free, but they still want to survive. But this country does not support freedom. It criminalizes all manners of freedom to force you to be under this corporation or that one. And when you choose not to work and be under one of those corporations 9 to 5, then they create prisons to force you to go and work for those corporations, and they criminalize every activity that is free. Any activity that you do that is not under those corporations, without the permission of them corporations or under the auspices of them corporations, every action you do will be considered criminal, will be criminalized, so that now they can go ahead and justify putting you inside the prison industrial complex to still get labor out of you, because really you are a debtor to their society. Every human being is looked at for a debtor. That's why you look at somebody who's homeless and they call them like a bum, like they're a bum and they're living out off the system. But it's a whole bunch of people that are homeless that don't get anything from the system whatsoever. So they're not bumming off the system. They don't get public aid, and they're not getting any insurance or pension funds or 401k plan. They're not getting anything from the system. But the reason they're still calling them bums, because they're debtors, because they're not necessarily giving anything to the system. And you really were born in debt, the way these corporations have set things up. How can you not be a bum if corporations are owning and controlling all of the land? Where are you going to be free? And where can you escape being a bum if they're managing and controlling all of the land? From real estate corporations to businesses to everything, government. These are all corporations that's trying to take up every square inch of the land. So as a birthright citizen, you have nowhere to be, because it's not even the land that you were born in anymore. It's not even the same land anymore. It's now been redefined by the corporations. The free land in America is gone because corporations have taken over. And where there's still land that is available to the public, the corporation has made up the rules that if you don't conform and comply to their artificial reality, then you are trespassing and you actually have no right to be there, or you're homeless, or you're a social service problem, or whatever category that they can put you in. So homelessness is a false construct that's being perpetuated and propagated by society to steal away your birthrights and your right to be anywhere. Meaning, if you don't have a job and you're not a slave to one of these corporations, you're not shit. That the founding fathers didn't set this shit up for you to be able to actually be somewhere and be free. That they set this up for you to be under corporations that was going to monopolize and buy up and take up all the land and all the property and make up all the rules and regulations for that property, and influence and affect social consciousness to make anyone who decided to be free or wanted to be free and experience freedom as it being illegal or being criminal or being a vagabond or being an undesirable part of society, when this very society was set up to protect the freedoms of those individuals and their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, even though their pursuit of happiness is not defined. Your pursuit of happiness could be sitting on a bench all damn day long in meditation, relaxing. That could be your pursuit of happiness. And this is your land and your home to be able to do that. That could be your religion, to not be a debtor and be a slave to this society and be under these corporations. That could be your religious freedom. I'm making a point that they're using this homeless propaganda to take away your rights to be anywhere and to give corporations all the power. It's the corporations that are going to put you under martial law. It's the corporations that are going to take away all your rights and freedoms. So now these non-for-profit organizations are being funded by the corporations to police all human beings that are free, and to use these non-for-profit organizations to manage all land and to move people around, to herd people around and move people where they don't want them to be at. So you won't be able to even sit out in the sun. It's coming. You won't even be able to sit outside no more. All homeless people are not destitute. They just have a different lifestyle, a different perspective, a different way of being. And that is their freedom of expression. They don't have to be in the matrix or be a part of these corporations in order to be on this land that is theirs, that is their homeland. Stop letting these corporations govern and rule your life and define what life is for you. So then they use the social service institutions to make you feel bad about yourself for wanting to be free, or take a break from the matrix, or take some time out to maintain your sanity, to get away from the stress, and then they label you as insane for doing it. And they make people they call homeless negative, so that you always want to be a voluntary debtor and slave in the matrix. So you want to work and want to be able to be manipulated by their system, because you don't want to be in what they call that negative situation that is homeless, which is really total and absolute freedom, which is really minimalist, really a form of spiritual detachment, and in many cases the most natural way that you can live. You're supposed to feel bad about that because you don't have the ambitions and the aspirations of people who are in the matrix that just want to consume, destroy the climate, abuse and manipulate people, extort people, exploit people, because you don't want to be a part of that system. Something's wrong with you. You should have no right to be in this country. There should be nowhere for you to be. If you accept the label of homeless, you are saying that you have no birthright and that you have no right to be anywhere. That's what you are saying. A domicile, a dwelling, a structure, or a federal address managed by the Postal Service is not your home. The earth is your home. America, the land, is your home. A matter of fact, 196,940,000 square miles of the planet is your home. There is not a homeless person out there. Stop letting them use the homeless narrative to strip people of their freedom and their liberty to be anywhere they are, however they want to be, at any time that they want to be it, with no regards or respect for this corporatocracy, this corporate tyranny that we're living in, that's dictating culture, dictating human values, dictating human rights, territory. Don't let them label you as homeless. Get rid of the title homeless. It's a false construct. It's a false construct. What you're calling a home, that people that are homeless are really, they may be outside of a space of convenience. What you call a house is just a space of convenience and storage. Your home is this country. Wherever you are at in this country, it's your home, and it was yours before they sold our birthrights to these corporations. And before the police no longer protect their oath of office and protect our constitutional rights, and they protect the agendas of these corporations who are paying them, donating to them, and putting money behind their institutions, to the point now that they're more leaning towards defending these corporations and their corporate policies than they are defending the human rights of the birthright citizens of this country. This is King Noble Black Supremacy. Join my website, www.kingnoblepblacksupremacy.com. Donate and don't hate.